Welcome to Talkin Business. I'm Joe Catrambone, CEO of the Stewart Martin County Chamber of Commerce, and it's my pleasure today to have Tyler Sherrill with me today. Tyler, welcome.
Joe,
It's
thank you.
so nice to have you here. Tyler is with Tenet Health. It's a new hospital. A lot of talk and a lot of interest in Martin County with the situation with Cleveland Clinic, and so you're obviously a welcome addition to a lot of people, and I've
Thank
heard,
you.
and we've heard a lot of that too. So I'm just going to briefly give a description of what I have. Florida Coast Medical Center, a full-service hospital slated to open in September of 2025, serving the communities of Port St. Lucie and Martin County, leveraging 15 years of healthcare leadership experience cultivated within a family of physicians. Mr. Sherrill brings a deep understanding of the medical field to his role. His most recent tenure was Chief Executive Officer of East Cooper Medical Center in Charleston, South Carolina, which under his leadership was recognized as the top orthopedic hospital in the state. He was great. He has a great family and 3 children with his wife Jeannie, and enjoys time with them, exercising and his spare time available. Again, welcome.
Joe, you nailed it. Thank you.
Okay, so what what type of services? Of course, one of the most talked about things in Martin County right now is there's no maternity.
hmm
Will you be offering maternity in your hospital?
You went
Ma- mat-
you went to the core issues right out of the gate.
Well, I'm
I
sorry.
think. I love it. Well,
Well, that's a hot topic,
did I tell you that it is healthcare is you can kind of break it into a number of different facets, but I would say it's fair to say across the board in Port St. Lucie and Martin County that there's deficiencies in many areas, and you can say that from okay, well, in advancing and growing population is the 6% growth rate from 2022 to 2023, and it's only continuing. You see personal needs like oil changes and dentists, and so dentists are on the healthcare spectrum. We know that go to oral health yields good overall health, but primary care, acute care service, surgical services, and women's care that you mentioned, we will offer comprehensive healthcare services in a hospital setting. We will have a campus, so 26 and a half acres, orthopedics, general surgery, primary care, and a wide variety, neurosciences, advanced robotics, advanced cardiac care.
Wow.
To specify the advanced cardiac care, I talked to your co-host, was not open heart surgery, so don't
Yeah.
expect to have open heart surgery at our facility to start with. Diagnostic imaging. The exciting part, which I think, well, it's all very exciting, but a very exciting part is the emergency care need within the community is significant. I'd say many of your listeners have waited for care, and we know that waiting for care is not good. We'll bring 26 ER beds to the community.
26
Yes, sir.
total. How many
26 ER beds in total.
ER only?
ER only.
Wow. So how many total rooms we have?
It's interesting when you talk about bed count. We spoke with the news, and you tend to want to count them together, but you don't. So we say, emergent beds 26, inpatient beds 54. And some people might say, well, 54 beds is a small hospital. It is smaller, but the way we've used beds really in the past 5 years has changed. Let's take, for example, orthopedics. A lot of times we do, well, often we do hip procedures, and you can go home the same day.
Really?
And yet, 5-10 years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case. And so the utilization of beds has changed. So it's an important topic, and our intention was let's get to Port St. Lucie, Martin County. Let's put our foot down. Let's partner with the community and the physicians and determine what's next for us and the community together.
That's interesting. But I had hip surgery. Gosh, I don't know, probably 15 years ago. And I was in the hospital a couple of days. I got on my feet pretty quickly. And my goal, when I had the surgery, I had a horse, and my goal was to ride the horse in 3 months, and I did. After 3 months of surgery, I was
got
able,
back on
yeah,
the
I was,
horse.
right after 3 months. But I walked. I had a walker. I mean, I didn't get up. I
Right.
didn't get up, and then I walked with a cane for a while,
Right.
I did my exercise, what I was supposed to do. But I made my mind up. If I ever had to have the other hip done, I would have it done in the summer months, so I could do my PT in the pool.
Hmm.
Because 'cause it's
rough,
so,
rough recovery there, Joe.
yeah. I had my this hip done in the winter time because the chambers closed for a week between holidays, so I figured that would be some downtime. So it was in the winter time, and my pool's not heated. But knowing in fact, I exercise in my pool today.
Yeah.
I exercise in my pool, so I would have it done if I ever have to have the other one done. Hopefully, I don't. But if I did, I would have it done in the summer months where I could do my PT in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so you're a perfect example. 15 years ago, you would have occupied an inpatient bed.
I did.
Maybe today. I'm not the physician here, so
Right.
to be clear, we have great physician partners. Many may not occupy an inpatient bed. They may have surgery and recover and go home.
Yeah, well,
And that's an exciting. I mean, that's what's exciting for us.
yeah. I mean, and from a layman's perspective, and from what I know, hospitals don't want to keep people in there for weeks. They want to get them in and out, movement, and so what do you need 100 beds for?
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
We desire to heal, and ideally have a healthy population that doesn't need significant care. But the reality is, we do need hospital care. Our goal is to heal you and treat you with good care and good experience. You walk through our doors. The benefit of a smaller footprint is there's access to a lot of different areas very quickly. And so our orientation, and you'll see it in the facility, Joe, if I ever bring you by, I'd love to have you. Our orientation is access. And I think the biggest opportunity, certainly in the community, aside from high quality care, and it's one of the biggest challenges, is access. How do you get in to see your physician? How do you get in to see have surgery? How do you get into the ER? We need to provide that access because access can and does yield better health outcomes.
So how do you, as a new hospital in the area, obviously, do you go out and recruit docs?
Yeah,
Or do they come to you and say, I want to be on your staff, or how does that work?
I think you and I talked about this briefly. It's a great question, though, and I get it often. And the answer is a bit of both. What I admire about Martin County and Port St. Lucie is the longitudinal history with physicians in the community. We have strong, independent physicians that have been in the community for a very long time. They understand the people, they understand the needs, and so full stop, with certainty, we will work with these physicians. We will empower them and partner with them in various ways to recruit to their practices too. So in turn they'll recruit. We believe in supporting independence, but we'll also recruit through various models for emergency medicine, hospital medicine. We certainly need primary care, and that'll be an employed position. So there's varying models, so to speak, but the answer is we need more physicians. A lot of people moved here, Joe, and I don't know that they brought their physicians with them.
Most times they don't. So it's interesting. It'd be interesting. How does it work? Will you have doctors who are employed by you only, by the hospital, what do they call them? House doctors?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay.
You have an employed physician model. You have a contracted physician model, which happens a lot with your hospital-based services. So your hospitalist that's going to see you in your inpatient room, or your emergency physicians. You can see it employed or you can see it contracted. There are companies that do a great job at sourcing the best physicians, and so we've chosen to partner or to contract with a group that does that. And then there's an independent group which is part of your medical staff, and they bring the qualities and truly help develop the hospital into what it can be. They're partners in many different ways, but they're independents. They run their own business, and we applaud them for that, and they do a great job at it too.
So, a physician, can a physician be, I don't know if you call it a partnership, or be partnered with two hospitals? For instance, would they be able to be have what is it? How does a doctor apply to be
Yeah.
able to treat in your hospital?
Yeah.
Does he have to be on your staff?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think very simply put, and you're going to see it across the hospitals here. We all have what's called a medical staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of a medical staff is it helps govern the hospital and work with our governing board. And between those bodies, we deliver healthcare services. It takes all of us to do that. But it's, one of its roles is to have high quality and make sure we have high quality physicians. And so there's a process to get onto that medical staff.
I know a lot.
But but my point is, sorry.
No, that's okay.
It's an open model. And so, assuming you're fit for duty and a high quality physician, you can undoubtedly apply and be at both locations.
So
or two
it is
locations.
possible to have them both.
Yes, sir.
Because I know I've heard over, and that's never happened to me, but I've heard people say, "Oh, my doctor can't go to that hospital, or doesn't practice in that hospital." So how is it? Just because they haven't applied to be on the staff of that hospital, or is there a reason that maybe you turned them down?
Could be.
Could be either or.
Could be both. But it's a commitment. And in fairness, you have some fantastic physicians that don't want to be on staff for whatever reason with other hospitals. But it's a commitment. These physicians make a commitment to support the hospital and vice versa. And so that needs to be a strong bond. But with that comes things like committee work and developing, your medical staff committee, your credentials committee, your pharmaceutical committee, and even call coverage. And so they're it's not a decision to make lightly.
So if a doctor is on your staff, can he also have a private practice too, or is
Absolutely.
They can?
Yes, sir.
So is that a common practice?
It is very common.
Okay, so it's not. So you're not, as being on a staff of your hospital or any hospital, you're not tied to that one hospital and tied to a practice in the hospital. You can have an off-site practice.
Yep, that's right. Yes, that's right.
Is that commonplace? Do most are most of the docs that way?
I'd say so, and certainly with, the models change. And you referenced Cleveland Clinic, and I'll state an important piece, which is they're competitors, but I view it as an important collaboration. We need to care for the community together, but Cleveland Clinic employs a lot more physicians than we would. And so there's just varying models in how you do that, but we believe that beyond simply a facility and having this building, anybody can build a building. You can build a hospital. It takes a lot of work. But beyond that, we have 26 and a half acres that we want to build a campus, and we want to attract independent physicians to be there. And so when you come, you can go and have your outpatient cardiac appointment or your outpatient primary care appointment. It is your campus for a spectrum of healthcare needs, from that outpatient visit, which is designed to keep you healthy and your routine check-ins, to diagnose you and somewhere along the line connect you with the facility, all the way to your crisis in the middle of the night emergency department visit. Let's hope that doesn't happen. To your point, we stay healthy enough to all stay out of the hospital, but when you do need to go, you want it to be a great experience. You want it to be, you want to have people that care about you and a team that's oriented around to, turning you back out in good shape.
Will you have a variety of, will there be private rooms and semi-private rooms and wards? So that's the old hospital
The
model
ward,
that I know of, yeah.
the word ward, I hear.
I can, well, I got hurt. It was a football injury in my ribs, and I was in a room, so it was just overnight, but there were six other patients, or it was eight patients in a room. Now, this is in New Jersey, 60 years or 70 years ago, and thank God I have not a lot of experience going in and staying in hospitals. But I can remember going and visiting people, and there would be 8 or 10 people in a room. That's passe.
So it's now delivers the nuanced answer. Inpatient beds are private.
Okay.
Emergency room beds are private. Now, if things get very, very, very busy, it may challenge and test that. We will do our best to not, you have to balance that. You have a physical limitation on your capacity, but you have an overwhelming need for care. There may be times when we're trying to make do in the ER. I'm hopeful we can have enough throughput and take care of you and get you out, and that this will solve a lot of problems. But we do have private inpatient beds. Now, when you think about a big room, though, I think about, so what we have is an ambulatory surgical unit. There are private rooms in there, but there's also bays where
And there's a curtain that goes around the bed.
yeah, you're not there for long,
Yeah.
right? You're getting ready for surgery or recovering from surgery, and so, if it's a big room, it's still semi-private and it's quick, and that's an exciting room in itself, and it represents what we're here for. In that there are 25 bays in that room, and if you do the quick rough math, you need 2 of those for every site of service, every OR that you have. And so we're prepared. We have 4 ORs today, and we'll add another 4 more. So that gets us to 16. You do that math, so it gets us to 16 bed needs. So we have capacity to grow. We've built this facility and infrastructure to make the next step forward and to grow with the community. We'll do our best to keep it private, though, and that's the intention.
Yeah, I can. It's funny. I can remember that they had a curtain on hooks, and that's how they separated the beds were with these curtains.
It's marginally it's better than that now, but
Yeah, I imagine it would be.
That you bring up a great point of the care that you've experienced and the care that you receive here. There are elements that are very much the same, but there are elements like your hip that have changed. And then there are small things which make a big difference, and we're excited about having new facilities with our beds have Bluetooth monitoring technology, so there's not cords coming out of them for central monitoring. Our beds have chargers in them, phone chargers. And you might think, well, that's nice. But the first thing people do when they get in the hospital is they want to reach out and plug their phone in. And a lot of them fall. And we also know that reducing falls is the right, it keeps people healthy.
Yeah.
And so those small things like having a phone charger in your bed, having central monitoring, keeping cords out of the way, basically building a hospital with today in mind, but also tomorrow, gives you an opportunity to create a blank slate and not have to retrofit old activity or old infrastructure and try and bring old buildings to modern care. So that's what I get excited about. And Joe, when you come see the hospital, you'll see some of those touches.
Great. I look forward to it. So, well, God, I'm just going to ask you something that went right out of my head.
We might be able to fix that too.
I need help. I do. We were talking about losing keys. My God, that's a search I do every day. No.
My wife puts an AirTag on mine.
Yeah.
And
And the other worst thing is I lose my phone. So when I used to when I had a landline, I could call my cell phone that would ring. I don't have a landline anymore, so when my phone is lost, I have to go on a deep dive to find it. Well, we're winding down. Is there something we missed that you'd like people to know about, or?
I think I appreciate you asking, Joe. You talked about my
know what it was.
background. And we can go back to your question too. I'm very excited to be here in the community. My family
Well,
came
we're
for-
excited to have you. Trust me.
from Charleston with a mission, and we fell in love with this community. Our kids are in school, and we've grown with it. 6 months in, I feel like I've worked every weekend to try and meet more people and understand
It's
and
an
listen.
easy community to you know, if you there's it's to me it's an easy for people, and I see it happen all the time. New people come in, they open a business, they come to our events, and all of a sudden they're into Sertoma, or they're into one of the clubs, you know, and it's a really, to me, it's an easy community to really get immersed in. It's really it's a very welcoming.
Very endearing.
Yeah.
I've fallen quickly in love, and the mission is so clear to me, and that you have a great and growing opportunity and population here. And very simply put, we believe with our 5 hospitals to the south, which is the Palm Beach Health Network, this will make the 6th. We can venture into this Treasure Coast and provide and fill a need that's there and present.
And if
we
you
can-
can't fill it here, you got another hospital that could.
we can grow.
Yeah.
We can grow,
Yeah.
but part of that mission is growing with the community and understanding their needs in truth. And so I seek to hear and learn, and we'll adapt. And the hospital we open with today will not be the hospital that we'll have in 6 months and 12 months, but it will certainly be high quality care with good team members. And to that end, one of our goals, or 2 of our goals, I think, very simply put, economically speaking, too. We know that people travel for work, and we know quantifiably that people travel for care. And so they leave, 40% of the
for
people
sure.
leave the community for care, and that's arguably not good. So we'll bring 300 plus jobs back to the community, and we'll bring a significant amount of care local.
That's
In just a high quality way, and I think that's the simplest message that we can deliver.
well, you're a welcome new entity into the community. Believe me. What I was going to ask you about, and forgot about it. Visiting hours. Will you have visiting hours, or is it?
We will have visiting hours.
I
yeah.
can remember, you know, again going years ago, where you've had visiting hours, say from 2 to 4 in the afternoon, or 10 till 2, and then 4 to 6, and then it was shut down. So what type of visiting hours will it be?
Yeah, we're a full service hospital. We're open 24/7.
Right.
At some point, the lobby closes, and I believe 10 or 9 o'clock at night, the lobby closes.
That's more than reasonable.
I'd have to work with our team and get you the answers on the specifics.
No,
but
I was just wondering
you-
if it
you
was
can
like
always-
just an open door
yeah.
type policy, you know.
Well, part of the
Ye-
it's open. Yes, it's open door in concept, but also we have to protect our people and patients and make sure that the people going up to see our patients are the right people. And so
Yeah.
there'll be a process which, we got to make sure Joe's coming to see the right person. And so you got to come through the ER at some point late at night.
In today's world, I
so-
get it. I get it. So we cover everything you think that you want?
Joe, I think so. I think
Okay, great.
just can't understate the excitement we have. We are rapidly building and constructing and have an open arms for people in the community to be part of this.
And
We are-
you're going to make September?
We are going to make September 9th, not a day late.
Really? September? Oh, yeah, I knew September, early September.
Yes, sir.
September 9th. Great. Well, I'll look forward to it, to visiting.
I'd love to
Take a
have
look at it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. It was
Appreciate
a
you
pleasure.
Thank you.